Welcome, world, to Anywhere the Needle Drops. I am your host, Justin Flegel, and as you know, what we do here is we discuss all things music and culture in the Michiana region and beyond. And we're going to step out beyond a little bit today over to the Chicagoland area, and you'll hear right at the top of the interview, I should say, how I came across this artist, and that artist is Louise Bramlett. Let me tell you, I really love this album. I promise I'm happy. It's actually a 2023 album, but for me, it's going to be a big part of this year for me because that's when I found it. And man, it hit me in so many ways, as you will hear in the discussion. And Louise, real cool. She is super talented, and I can't wait to see what she does next. One of the songs we discussed during the interview is one of my favorites from that album. It is titled If I Weren't an Ocean. You're going to hear that next, and then the interview will follow. Enjoy.
If I weren't an ocean, I'd stand my ground. I'd resist the currents. I wouldn't be found, but I am an ocean. I can't resist if you're with me. You might drift if I weren't an ocean. You'd never be lost. You'd float on the surface without any cost. But I am an ocean. The tide pulls you in. Once you surrender, your fate begins. You might be better off without me, but you won't see. And you won't agree. If I weren't an ocean, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't crowd you and leave you without land. But I am an ocean. The wind will decide. I don't have power of how we collide. If I weren't an ocean, I'd be so gentle. My waves wouldn't persist. I'd let you settle. But I am an ocean. My only friend is the moon. I'm dangerous for you, but come back soon. I can't help but let nature run its course. I'm a force, and you're my source. If I could choose, I'd never lose you to the ruse. That I'm safe and sound, but I need you around. I'll try to make it so that you will never ever leave. But just wait for the storm. 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 If I weren't an ocean, I'd be so still. If I could be patient, I'd bend to you. But I am an ocean. I'm loud and I'm strong. I'll tear you and break you. Listen to my song. I am an ocean, so don't get too close.
Anna Louise, welcome to the show.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
yeah. So I love this because this is one of those magical moments that I feel like happens certainly in my world with music, doing what I do, telling stories about music. But I think probably in general, I was in Chicago. I live in a town called Niles, Michigan. I don't know if you're familiar with this area of Michigan or not. Right over by South Bend, Indiana, and I was on a trip with some friends. We take this annual trip somewhere fun, and this time we decided to really do it big and go to Ireland. And so we have the Amtrak station right here by my house. We'd hop the train to Chicago, and of course, the timing of the train, timing of the plane, we got to Chicago and had some time to kill. So we're just out wandering around, and we find our way to Navy Pier, and of course, like a moth to the flame, there's live music. So that's where I go.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were up there playing. It was some kind of a music festival, I guess. Do you know what it was? What was going on there?
Yes. So the host was Bitter Jester Music Festival, and it's a battle of the bands, which is something I applied for, I believe, in like the winter. And then this summer they had a prelim performance, which I was able to compete in. And then they asked me to come back for the finale performance. And then this was sort of like a best of showcase. So they asked just a couple of the performers to come and play at Navy Pier on Labor Day. So
Nice. Yeah, well, I was, I had time really for one or two. I think we saw two of your songs, and then we had reservations at one of the Lou Malnati's before we had to catch our plane. So it was like, this sounds great. Write down that name, and then off we went, and we went on an
Great.
adventure. And I had largely forgotten until I got back, and I'm kind of going through my journal from the trip, and there on the first page is your name, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to check this out. And I got to tell you, I looked up the album that you put out last year.
Mhm.
I Promise I'm Happy, and I was absolutely blown away by that album.
Thank
Um,
you.
I know it's a 2023 album, but for myself personally, that's going to be an album that represents the year 2024 for me in a lot of different ways. And so I know you have at least one single that's come out since then, right?
Two, yes.
Two. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can definitely talk about those as well. But a lot of my focus or interest is definitely going to be that particular album, just because, you know, my personal world has been in some upheaval for the last year or two, and so I really connected with a lot of what you were singing about, on this album. I mean, so there were so many themes there. Just that title alone, I Promise I'm Happy. Tell me about that a little bit.
So it really kind of was a joke at first, because I did a lot of songwriting in quarantine, as most musicians kind of did, because that was just kind of the way to process. And I kind of looked at all my music that I'd written over the last 2 or 3 years, and I was like, this is enough to be an album. And then I looked at actually the themes of all the songs, and I was like, oh, these are all very depressing. uh, and I'm a very happy person in real life, and I try to focus on the positives. And it's just funny, the juxtaposition of how I am in real life, and then I look at all the songs I've written, and I'm like, I should probably just like preface with like, I'm okay. This is just my therapy, and I write when I have things to say and things I don't say in person and things like that. So
Yeah, well, and I love the cover says it all, really, with the clown makeup and the happy sad face. I mean,
yeah.
it's just so much there, and I think it says so much about, you mentioned, during lockdowns, the time that you were writing that music that we were all going through. The album title reminds me a little bit of a local artist we have here in the Michiana region by the name of Eli Khan. And during the lockdown, he released an album, and the title was "How Are You?" No, really, how are you?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Like that's yeah.
So
Truly.
Yeah, yeah. So, but no, I mean, I agree. You know, you do touch on a lot of, a lot of harder themes, on the album. Personally, I don't know. I didn't see any of it as depressing. I actually related so much to it, and I found it kind of cathartic listening to it. Reflecting my own personal experiences through it, and just even the ones that weren't personal things. But I mean, you get into so much of the melancholy of life. I mean, there are themes of death, themes of loss, the ending of relationships, perhaps, the desire for relationships that maybe aren't there, that kind of a thing. So, I mean, you're sitting in lockdown, writing these songs. Are these things you're experiencing yourself? Are these things that you're just sort of thematically, exploring? We often assume with musicians that everything's autobiographical, which is
Right.
funny because I make movies, and no one assumes that when I write a horror movie about a killer in the apocalypse that I'm writing my own story. But with musicians,
Right.
we always assume that, right? So how much of that is your life versus you just exploring stories?
I think I would say like maybe 60-40. 60 is like my life. 40, I think like once we get into like a silhouette, paper boat, those are kind of fables, I would say. Um, but I don't know. I guess a lot of the record is things that have happened to me. But when it comes to like love songs or breakup songs, at that time I'd never been in a relationship and I'd never had a breakup before. And I just kind of was like, kind of putting myself in the shoes of like, okay, if I'd been broken up with, like, what would this feel like? And, I guess, I don't know. I feel like 60-40 is going to be where I'm at. Like, I think, Let's Get Coffee was a real thing. And that was just kind of about losing a friendship. Um, Runaways is more of a fable. Um, and I think a lot of my songs are inspired thematically from other art that I consume, um, which is kind of fun to like look back on and like think, oh, I remember being inspired for this song because of this picture that I saw or this story that I read or something like that. And yeah, I think we're
So
gonna go 60-40.
yeah, yeah. So a couple of things there. So when you are, these other places you're drawing inspiration from, are those places that you are seeking out intentionally as an artist, seeking inspiration, or is it just Anna Louise looking for, entertainment or enjoying art yourself, and you happen to draw things from that?
It's just happened. It's just me loving movies and me scrolling on TikTok. Actually,
Okay,
one of
all
the
right.
songs, yeah. Unfortunately, one of the songs I went and the TikTok like search bar deep dive of like it was actually for Paper Boat. Um, it was this trend that I guess was going around where people were looking at texts from relationships and like seeing the other person slowly fall out of love with them. And it was just like I was on my floor and I was like, can you even imagine that? Like and looking back and seeing that and um how do you process that? And like I just sat up on my floor and wrote the song. So like sometimes I feel like a lot of it is unintentional. And I think in my daily life, try to seek out art as much as I can. Um, but I don't ever go looking for songs. Like I kind of let them come to me because I know they will.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is I am unfamiliar with that TikTok. So I'm pushing into old man territory here. I
No.
took into my 40s not that long ago. And so TikTok is one of those places where I was like, I caught myself being like, what are the kids doing with this TikTok these days? And so I've been trying to force, I actually made some friends in Ireland who use TikTok exclusively. And so I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do
Yeah.
this thing. But
Yeah.
I was unfamiliar with that trend. And I, as someone who has gone through a divorce in the past year, and I have, a friend of mine phrased it the other day that I was in autopsy mode. That
Real.
that is very real. What you just said
Yeah.
there, seeing the signs. Maybe in the moment you didn't realize them, but you're seeing the breakdown of all that. I'll have to look up that TikTok trend and
Yeah.
probably get sad and depressed. But
Yeah. And then
some,
listen to Paper Boat.
no, yeah,
So,
yeah. Also, it's funny you mentioned the 60/40 thing. I think that is probably the sweet spot for most artists because, you know, again, as a writer, I wrote a feature length film a year or so ago, and even that, I mentioned like this weird apocalyptic horror movie, but there are themes in there as I'm reading through it, and even though the protagonist is a gay woman, which I am not. I caught myself realizing that I was saying a lot about my feelings of religion through that character without realizing it till later on examining it. And I think we do that a lot with our art, where we write our stuff, and then it's like, oh, I'm working through something right there,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you write what you know, whether you're doing it like knowingly or not,
Indeed, yeah, yeah. So, one song I've been dying to ask you about is "If I Weren't an Ocean."
Okay.
That song, I mean, first of all, that song is just, there's something so badass about that song.
Thank you.
I have probably hit that one, more than any other track on the album. So where did that come from?
This was another instance where I was kind of inspired by art. Sarah Kinsley has been one of my favorite musicians recently, singer-songwriter. She produces all of her own music. I saw her in concert at the Shubas, I think in 22. And she just like makes the most ethereal music. And she has this song that's called I'm Not a Mountain. And it's just about like, I'm a human. I can't carry all of this like on my shoulders. Like I'm not, I can't, and I want to. And like, that's definitely like a shower cry song for me. Like that is just like, cause that happens to me all the time where I have to like step back and be like, okay, like I can't, and so I just really loved her relating to nature. And I was like, I'm not a mountain, but I wish I weren't an ocean. And, I guess I just like, I honestly, when I was writing that at the piano, I've kind of like blacked out. Like it was one of those things where it was just like all of the words were writing themselves. And, I don't know, I guess, yeah, it's hard to like resist what you are. And so you have to just accept it. And yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah,
I was very, very heavily inspired by Sarah Kinsley.
I'll have to check that song out. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but it's on my list now. So
yeah, she just dropped an album and it's so good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is how this works. It's
See?
the ever branching world of music. I can never run out.
Right. Exactly. And that's the beauty of it.
Yep, and that's why we do this show. We like to find things for our audience and let them discover through us. And we cover the local scene pretty heavily, but we do branch out like towards Chicago for you, and even we bring in some national stuff every so often. So yeah, it's there's so much great music out there. It's weird. Are you familiar with the Crane Wives, the band, the Crane Wives?
I'm not, but I'm going to write it down.
Oh yeah. So I thought, they're on my mind because I actually just interviewed them last night about their latest album. They're a Michigan band. They're from Grand Rapids, but they do, some national touring and some even international touring. I mean, they've been around for a while. And, highly recommend checking them out, the Crane Wives.
Yeah.
Um, but you mentioned something about fables earlier,
Mm.
and that caught my ears a little bit because I'm realizing that their latest album and a lot of their stuff is also very kind of has that sort of fable essence to it, and I think I'm drawn to a lot of that right now, personally, and so. I think, fables, that concept of fables, it's one, the whole point is kind of learning lessons through the abstract, through storytelling.
Yeah.
So when you are sitting down to, to write, I mean, where does that come from as far as your early beginnings as an artist? We all come up and we witness art, and then some of us turn around and become artists ourselves. I mean, what did you come up with that drew you to telling these kind of stories through music?
So actually, it's kind of my life. All of it's very thematic. Okay. The first song I ever wrote um, was because of a friend who passed when I was 12. And I like tried therapy and I was like, I can't, there's too much. I have so much to say and then not enough time to say it. And so my mom's former student, she wrote songs, Jess Godwin. Um, and she helped me, like little 12-year-old me, like write what I was trying to say. And I also grew up a competitive dancer, so I ended up turning that song into a song that I danced to at competitions. And it was like that was my therapy, and I found that was really helpful for me to like listen to that and be like, okay, these were the words I was trying to say. It's just a different way of saying it, and it makes more sense. Like when you can sit and you can write everything out, like just let your brain explode onto the paper and then find the themes and straighten it out, and then someone else can listen to that and feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this. I've felt this before. And then I didn't write again for a really long time. I finished junior high. And then in high school, kind of around the time lockdown happened, it was like 2020. I was like, oh, I have more to say and I have free will, so I can write this. And my dad had just gotten equipment for Christmas or something, like a keyboard, and I used GarageBand and I like wrote another song, and it was about the same person. And then I was like, oh, I can just keep doing this. And I think I took a lot of inspiration as well from like Taylor Swift folklore and Evermore, of like, you don't have to write about everything. Like it doesn't, like it can be a fable. You can, because a lot of her songs on folklore aren't about her life, but there are so many people that relate. Like August, she didn't write about her life. And I've lived August, like I've lived that song. And that was kind of what made me want to start writing music. Because like finding a song and hearing it and hearing someone else's words describe your situation is an experience that like can't be explained. And so to be able to like create that art for someone else to hear and feel like they're not alone is something that like it's just what I strive for. And yeah, so whether it's something that I've personally lived through or an idea that I find enticing, whatever I create, someone will hear it and think, okay, like I'm not alone in this experience, and this is a human experience. And yeah, that's kind of
that is the magic of it, because I think so many times in our lives we go through experiences, and even if we have a good support system, friends, family, whatnot, it so often can be so hard for anyone to truly understand if they're not in the same situation you're going through. So then to find a piece of art that maybe speaks to you in that way, through its own abstraction,
Yeah.
Because we all live in these unique situations. But if there's a sort of a gray area of a song, and you can take that and see that in your world, live that August, and or know that you live
Yeah.
that, and yeah, you're not alone, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So you mentioned your dad. Now, this keyboard was for you, or that was something for him that you just sort of hijacked? Or
It was all for him. Like, it was literally like his present was a keyboard and equipment, like a Scarlett box and a microphone. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this and feel it. And that was also what I made my EP on, my first EP, Angels. So it was self-produced in my little room, and yeah, definitely stole it.
Nice. So, does that mean that there is, is there a background of music in your family growing up, or people playing music around you? Did your dad have a history as a musician, or anyone else?
My parents had more of a history in like musical theater, and theater. I'm an actor as well. So
Yeah, I saw that on your website. You're one of
yeah.
those annoying people that can do everything. I'm over here in my corner writing, and like you're doing it also.
I mean, I like literally just have to like do art. Like it doesn't even matter what it is. Yeah, but my dad plays the piano, and so I kind of grew up taking piano lessons, and then I'm self-taught in the guitar and the ukulele just because YouTube exists, and that's lovely. And yeah, but I would say they're more theater people, but my dad grew up playing the piano. So we've always had a piano in our house, and so we literally have a rule at our dinner table that there's no singing at the dinner table because we will never leave the table. Like that's where we're at as a family. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right. That must make for some fun Sunday evening dinners.
Truly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so you got that performance background. What about, what was, as you were growing up, what was playing in the house? What were your parents influencing you with? Because I have a lot of memories of my parents' vinyl collection really molding me as to who I am now. So what were you digging into as a child growing up?
Oh, you know what? It was the Beatles all the way.
Nice. Okay.
The Beatles, 100%. My dad is a huge Prince fan. Now, there were a lot of Prince songs that I did not grow up listening to because of content, but my dad had to censor, like he has 2 different playlists, like 2 different Prince playlists.
I have to imagine the safe playlist for Prince has to be fairly short.
It is fairly short. Yeah, it is. Or just skip through, just kind of, go, but, yeah, I mean, I think really for me, the core memory was the Beatles. Yeah. And it was, my dad has a vinyl collection, but again, a lot of it is Prince, or, he loves Styx. And, yeah, we kind of, as a family, when we would go on road trips, we all kind of have different music tastes. So it wasn't like a collective, like dad's driving, he's playing. What we would do is we would all pick 10 songs, each of the kids, me and my 2 siblings. We would pick 10 songs that we wanted to play on the playlist. And then whenever we would get done, we'd all pick 10 more. So I feel like we all kind of grew up with like individual, like we all kind of found our individual love for music and what we liked and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I'm definitely sensing a certain vibe with your family. You've got the no singing at the dinner table, these strict rules around playlists for road trips. Definitely seems like music was an important part for all that stuff for you guys growing up. So that's pretty cool. You mentioned being a huge movie fan as well. Any films that have influenced your writing, or just you as a person?
Just I love movies. This is okay. I literally already have. I'm ready for Letterboxd to ask me my 4 favorite movies because they've been the same for a long time.
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge, my all-time favorite movie. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It is like just visually stunning. All of it. I love it. Um, Little Women, 2019.
Oh, great one. Yep.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Great. Okay.
And then Waiting for Guffman, which I
Okay.
don't heard of that,
Yeah.
but it's a Christopher Guest movie. It's a comedy and it's all improv.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's just hilarious and the most quotable movie, and I've seen it a million times, and it's just
I'm a huge fan of Mighty Wind. That's my favorite of that ilk. Yeah.
yep, Mighty Wind. Yep, that's a really good one. And yeah, Best in Show.
Best in
and,
Show. Yep. Yep. For sure.
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. Oh man, I can't. I don't. If you are cool sharing your letterbox with me, I can't wait to see it because I bet there's going to be some fun stuff on there.
Oh my gosh, no! My letterbox. The last 6 movies I watched were When Harry Met Sally, and I'm not kidding. I'm not, and I logged them each time.
All right, that's the whole point, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
I appreciate you being honest about it because sometimes when it comes to my letterboxd, I do that thing where I'm like, well, I can't post that I watched that again, so I'm just gonna leave that one out. I appreciate your being honest about it. So
Yeah. Here's the thing: if I'm reviewing a movie, I'm reviewing a movie.
yeah.
And, yeah. Actually, I think the last movie I just watched was the new Joker movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Thoughts? Good, bad,
See,
indifferent?
I don't know. I want to kind of let you form your own opinion.
Okay, all right.
Well, here's the thing. I don't watch movies critically. Like, I watch movies and I go into a little world and I just exist there and I'm not thinking like,
Yes.
so it's hard because I watched it and I was like, that was a good movie. And then, I saw it with my boyfriend. He was like, he's a huge like comic book person and he knows the DC universe and was like, oh, the Joker things. And like, he was critically thinking and I was not. And so it
Sure.
was just, but like Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, like,
Can't go wrong.
come on now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Film is one of those places where I can still, and, like, what do they call it? Premiere TV, like the higher quality TV shows. It's one of those places where I can still fully put down the outside world, the critic hat. I'm not interested in being the smart fan or anything like that. I just still go into it and completely lose myself in it. My sense of disbelief the rest of the world being gone and just suspending disbelief is just, I'm fully in it. And that's what I love about film. I can just be in it. And there are sure some films that I love that maybe critically are going to be, this was not well done. This was not well done. I don't care. I had fun. I enjoyed it.
I don't care. I'll watch Twilight as many times as I want.
So I'm actually, there's a dance group that I'm part of locally, and I don't quite know how this is going to work, but the teacher, she does the classes based on themes. And normally it's a musician of some sort, but she has gone off that track a little bit. And so tomorrow's class is actually a Twilight class, which I don't know what I'm walking into. I am not a Twilight fan. No judgment, no kind of yums, but so I'm gonna go. I guess I'm gonna see what that's all about. So
yeah. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
My guess is like Supermassive Black Hole will be in there somewhere.
Probably. Yep. Okay. All right.
But I don't know. Some of the Twilight songs are depressing. So
yeah. Well, she manages to find a way. One time we did she did a class themed around Bo Burnham's was it Inside the
Inside.
Yeah, the class was themed around that, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. So I have full trust in Sharon at Dance Society. If you're listening, Sharon, I'm looking forward to that class. She's been on the show before as a guest too, so it's one of the cool things we have up here in the Michiana region is her classes. So
love it.
And you mentioned Fantastic Mr. Fox. I was just talking to a local hip hop musician who is going to be doing. So we're not far from Notre Dame University, and they're going to be doing a screening of that film, and then she is going to be doing like a live score to it, producing a live score to it, which is going to be so cool. I think
that is so cool.
Yeah.
That movie I love. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Just a comfort movie. and it's hilarious and it's so well done. And you just like know exactly what it is from the beginning,
Yep.
like beginning to end. You're like, okay, this is what this is.
Yep.
I also just love Wes Anderson. So
Yeah. Yep. Very
yeah.
fun. Very fun. So, you said you had two singles come out recently. So are you building toward another album? Like, what's next for you as far as, releases are concerned?
Definitely another album is next.
Okay.
I've got lots of stuff in my arsenal. So it's really just about picking the songs and producing. So I also think next, so I mentioned Bitter Jester, and what was really nice about Bitter Jester is they recorded multi-tracks from the prelim and the finale. And so I sent over those multi-tracks to my producer to mix, and I think I might have a release of live versions of some of my songs in the future.
Oh, nice. Okay.
A couple covers, and yeah, so I think that's next. But then after that, it'll definitely be lots of new songs and new content, and yeah.
Awesome. So are you Chicago based then? Is that where you're located, or Chicago can be a very
I don't want to lie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to lie. Okay, I'm from Naperville, and that's like not Chicago at all.
It's listen, where I come from, that's considered Chicago. I mean, sometimes we even consider ourselves Chicago. So, and we're 2 states away. So
yeah, the people that actually live in Chicago, I don't want them to get mad at me once they find out I'm in Naperville. So
that's fair. Disclaimer. Yeah.
Yeah. In all my auditions, I'm from the Chicagoland area.
Okay.
But no, I'm from Naperville, and hopefully the city is in my future in terms of living. But yeah, so all of my recordings and stuff. Actually, we recorded I Promise I'm Happy in my guitarist's home studio in Belvedere, Illinois, which is even further from Chicago. Yeah, so but I think there's another album in the mix. So I'm Chicagoland area.
There we go. Do you take yourself outside of the Chicagoland area on tour at all? I mean, what kind of area are you covering or would you like to cover as far as getting out there for shows?
I mean, I'd love to cover any area, truly. I mean, yeah, I love the idea of touring and playing around, but I haven't, since I released the album, really, I haven't been looking at gigging, but it's something I'd love to look at, just because I think music is supposed to be experienced live. And that's how I love experiencing music. So yeah, but I'm working 3 jobs, so it's also hard to imagine that, but it would be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be, Anna Louise solo? Are you bringing a band with you? What's the way you would want to do it?
Ideally bringing a band. Yeah. Because I think I write a lot of my songs acoustic, but I think they take a different life with a band, and I love that feeling. So yeah.
Yeah, nothing like a good rock and roll show, even with those the songs that make us sad, or
even singing songs about death and explaining death to children. It's like, if you got a band behind you, it's like,
yeah,
possible.
Yeah, that's right. So was that I'm trying to think now, is that the catch? Is that what the catch was about?
Yeah.
So So I had this thought as I was listening to the album the first time through, and I recently purchased a new house, and I have a giant piece of property with a huge fence all the way around it, and I have a whole lot of staining to do. And so I've been listening to your album as I'm staining. So I feel like every time I look at that fence now, I'm going to think of your music.
Nice.
So
I've made my mark.
That's right. Yeah. So, but so as I was listening to it, I was having this thought to myself, because you're kind of in that mode of just up and down with the paintbrush. Yep. And I was thinking, these songs, who is she singing to? Is she singing to a person, herself, the world? Like who are you? Like, especially like the one the catch that, that seemed very like, okay, I think she is talking to a child, but is that you as a child? Is that someone else? Are you just trying to communicate that out to the world as you're, considering the tough concept of death?
think it's I think it's sort of just it's one of those like it's to the world, but it's for myself. Um Again, it's sort of like a way to process. Um but yeah, it's definitely not I don't think it's necessarily me talking to myself, but it's definitely for myself is what I would say. But talking to a larger audience just as we kind of process the human experience and like we all know we're gonna die, but we don't think about it often. And then when we have to think about it, we're like, ooh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you gotten any response from your fans as far as that song is concerned, or any of the other ones as far as hitting people?
Definitely. Well, so I've noticed that like there have been waves of The Catch being my most listened to song. And every time I'm like, are you guys okay? Hey, team, checking in. Are we okay? We good?
Are you happy?
Yeah. Are you happy? Because I'm concerned. And I think, it actually showed up on a playlist. There was an account that's like different new songs every day or something like that. And they have a playlist that's like ethereal female vocals. And it's a bigger playlist. It's got a couple followers. And so I think The Catch ended up on there without me submitting or anything.
Nice.
And I think that's kind of where the surge of like that those listeners came from. And then it was like Let's Get Coffee is the big one from my album that people listen to a lot. And actually people will tell me that is their favorite. And yeah, it's just interesting because I feel like I included upbeat songs to be like to appeal to more like people, I guess. And also just for myself of like, I don't like listening to stagnant things necessarily. Like I love it when albums have like sonically different songs for each song and but still within the same world. And so, I tried to, include some diversity in tempo and vibes. And it's just funny that the songs that people come up to me about are Beauty, The Catch, and Let's Get Coffee, which are the three songs that kind of helped me name the album, because I was like, if I'm putting these three on there, I should probably be like, I'm fine, guys. So yeah.
That seems to be a conversation I have with artists a lot, is the songs that hit are never the ones that are expected to hit. It's always, like, oh, this one was just for me, or this one is super depressing, but I had to get it out. And then everyone's like, that's the best thing. Yeah.
Yeah. People being like, you are thinking what I'm thinking, and I have something to listen to now to like process things. It's just, yeah.
Well, we don't, we live in a culture that the darker feelings aren't necessarily always something we're encouraged to bring about. So everyone loves a good, happy song, but we also live in a culture where we're kind of expected to be happy at all costs. And so I think I think that's why we're attracted to sad music so often,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it almost feels like a little secret. Like,
yeah.
You can like listen to that in the car and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. This person who I don't know, but I have this semi-intimate experience with through my headphones, through my car speakers, whatever. They get it. They get this thing that I'm going through. And, that takes away some of that loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see, two other songs from the album that I absolutely love. Life is the Ninth. So tell me a little bit about the tale behind that one.
That's a fun little story for you.
Is that one autobiographical a little more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I actually wrote that at a family function. Um, my grandparents were there, my mom's parents, my mom and dad. So my grandparents, my mom and dad, my sister and her husband, my brother and his fiance, and then it was me.
Okay, yep, that's where the name
And
comes from. Okay.
yep, yep, yep. And I was ninth wheeling in my family. And it was just one of the, like, they were all talking about their compatibility with each other and why they balance each other out. And I was sitting there like, I knew they weren't purposefully excluding me or whatever. And, at that time, I think I was probably 17 or something. And I was like, I'm so alone. And I had just like started playing the guitar and I knew a couple chords. And so literally they were all playing a board game at the table and I was sitting on the couch and I was like quietly like writing, and I wrote pretty much the whole song there. And then kind of went back and edited and whatever. And I was like, okay, like this is the song. Like I definitely, like, it was my experience for a lot of my life of just like being like, I just want to experience love, and then seeing everyone around me experience love and just being like, okay, another day, another day. So
It is such a relatable song. I mean, I think we've all been there at some point in our lives, and even if it's not in relation to romance, just being the lone person in a room, not having the experience that our friends, our family, our peers are having, and like you said, not that those people are necessarily ignoring you in that moment, but you're kind of in your own space there no matter what people do, and that is a very human experience.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So the last song from the album on my list, I Can't See You in My Dreams Anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, so what I have so many possible interpretations of that, and I think all of them reflecting through my own personal experience. So where does that come from for you?
So it kind of like, I wrote it as a really sad acoustic song.
Okay, achieved.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was, I mentioned that I lived out August by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Which was just sort of like a situation where you're kind of like I know we like each other, but you're not, like, what's going on? And I kind of was like going through that. And I remember like I dreamt about this person like a couple times, and I was just like, but also I knew that there was nothing that was going to come of it and it was fine and whatever. And I just remember like the day I woke up and I was like, I actually don't care. Like, actually, it's okay. And like, and I just liked the idea of like, oh, like, you're not invading my subconscious anymore. And I'm going to write about that. And it's sort of a song for me that's kind of taking power back a little bit of like, I don't see you in my dreams anymore. And like, you don't really hold power over me in this way anymore. And that's freeing. But for a while, it was really hard. And yeah. And I really like that it's like more upbeat now. And yeah, I love the way we produced it. So
Yeah. Well, and there is something so empowering about that moment. And I also took that a little bit from, I think, which is why I like If I Were an Ocean so much, because even though you're you're commenting on something that, might make us weak as humans, even just bringing it to light and discussing it, that is strength in itself right there.
right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, I think that's why I think that song is so badass, because you're like, you're putting it out there, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's fantastic. So
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So I know. Let's see. One of the singles I saw was the Left Shoe single.
Yes.
What's the other one? I don't think I caught the other one yet.
Keepsake.
Keepsake. Okay, I'll have to make sure I check that one out.
And that one's featuring Lydia Miller. That was one of my first co-writes as like a solo artist, where I was like, I want to write a song with a different person. Like, um, I think it's hard to like feel like pride in writing all your songs yourself, but I knew how talented she was, and I was like, we need to write together. Like, this needs to happen because it's a different perspective on the same idea, and that's really helpful when it comes to poetry. And yeah, so I'm really proud of the way that that song turned out, and it's just very like gorgeous. Like, it's just a gorgeous song. So yeah.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah. And there is something, I think there's something kind of magical about collaboration.
Yeah,
We oftentimes kind of isolate ourselves as artists, but when you can really connect with somebody and share in that experience, I think the better work comes out of it a lot of times.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, because we both kind of came in with the same idea. Like, she had a random idea generator, and I had already kind of started a poem about the same thing. And I was like, this is lovely.
Yeah.
And she kind of helped me think about it in a different way. And yeah, I just think it's beautiful when you can collaborate with someone and be on the same page instantly and write from that place. Um, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you'll definitely have to keep us posted as release new stuff, but also when you get out there doing some shows, we'll have to see if we can even get you up here to our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
The Michiana region is a happening place up here. We've got a lot of fun things happening here between Benton Harbor and South Bend. Some great venues and some really rich talent that I bet you'd enjoy meeting some of our local talent here because.
Totally.
Yeah, there's something in the water up here. So
I believe it. I believe it.
yeah, yeah. So as we wind this down, what's up next for you? What's in the works? What do you want the fans to know about?
Yeah, yeah. Look out for some more albums. One of them is going to be a live album, kind of just celebrating I Promise I'm Happy and playing things live and covering other songs that have inspired me. And um yeah, and then I guess just be looking out for some more original music because I'm very proud of it and excited to release it. And yeah, yeah. I guess, I mean, most of those updates will probably be on Instagram. So my Instagram is at Anna Louise Bramlett, my full name, and you'll see all the happenings.
Yeah, definitely. And we will be sure to include your socials and all your links and such in the show notes for the show, and make sure people are checking out what you do. And as my audience is so tired of me saying, but I'm going to keep saying it: give musicians your money. If
Yes.
you want independent art, you have to support it. So, got to do more than stream. You got to get to those shows. You got to buy that merch, buy those albums. Get that sweet vinyl for your collection, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, and is there more in the works for the rest of your performance? Are you going to be on stage for the other kind of work as well, dancing or acting?
Yeah. So there will be something in the winter in the Chicagoland area. I haven't officially signed the contract, so I'm not going to say exactly what it
Sure,
is yet,
okay.
but
Yep.
exciting things, musical theater. Yeah, and then I'm consistently auditioning, so we'll see what grabs. And yeah, I'm just trying to make art in any way I can.
So is there ever going to be a stage play written by Anna Louise Bramlett?
I definitely have scripts for things already.
Nice. All right.
I definitely and it's in the form of film because I love film.
Oh, love it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely a film in the works, and maybe a limited series.
That's
So
cool. All right.
Yeah, I can't be stopped. It's like, I don't even know. And I don't know how any of this is going to time out. We'll see. Like,
Sure, sure.
but
That's you know what? Sometimes you just have to roll with it and go. You know, just keep on
exactly.
churning out the stuff. So,
Yeah, keep on keeping on.
all right. Well, Louise Bramlett, everyone get out there and check out the links in the show notes. Check out that album and the new singles. And Anna Louise, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops, a product of Red Chuck Productions. Be sure to keep tabs on everything going on with this show and everything else Red Chuck over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us at Red Chuck Productions on social media. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out, listen to their songs, and see where they're going to be over at herojrmusic.com. That's HEROJRMUSIC.com. Also, special thanks to Paul Clemson, our sound engineer and producer. And while you're at it, make sure you visit the websites and band camps and shows of all of our guests. If you want local music, if you want independent music, or any kind of art, you've got to support them. So give musicians and artists your money. We will see you at the next episode. Until then, here's to life. 'Cause would I